I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is the PC Engine Files, and today we are looking at Rabio Lepus Special. Now, if you go about it by conventional means, this isn't the easiest game to find information about. I was originally told that the title translated to Rabbit Punch when it was localized for arcades in North America, but if you look up Rabbit Punch, that just gives you a cartoon from the 1940s featuring Bugs Bunny and a character that would later be known in a more famous pro wrestling Bugs Bunny cartoon as the Crusher. So that is obviously not this game. But if you dig a little further, you can actually find an entry at Hardcore Gaming 101 that talks about the arcade history of this game. And it is more extensive than you would have guessed for such an otherwise obscure game. It was developed by V System, later known as Video System, and then it was localized by Bally-Sente, which was a imprint of Bally Midway, and Sente itself was the Sente arcade computer system owned by Nolan Bushnell before it merged with Bally. And Sente was actually a pioneer in the video game sphere, developing multi-cartridge arcade systems long before SNK had developed their Neo Geo system. So they deserve more credit than they get, but they also aren't very well remembered for it because a lot of their games were rather mediocre sports titles, and I guess they were trying to spice it up by getting the license to Rabbit Punch. According to this same article at Hardcore Gaming 101, that's probably what they were doing because shooters were getting very popular at this time in the 1980s, and since it was an obscure game in North America, the license to port it was rather cheap. And I guess I get the same feeling about this adaptation for PC Engine. Rather cheap. On the one hand, it does have a very Gradius and R-type feel, and on the other hand, it seems almost like a blatant ripoff of those, except with a rabbit as the protagonist instead of a spaceship, which is a really strange choice, but it's one that's at least plot-based. If you go to the Sonic Wings wiki, there's actually an entry for Rabio Lepus, so it's considered part of that series, believe it or not, and this is what they have to say that helps me make some sense of this game. In Rabio Lepus, you have to save the Princess of Bunnyland, whose name is Komomo Kitashirikawa, who's been kidnapped along with her sister Kotomi Kitashirikawa and their grandfather, the king, Taro Kitashirikawa. I really hope I didn't butcher that. I tried my best. The mechanical rabbits Rabio and Lepus are sent to rescue them by fighting enemies on a spaceship, an asteroid, and the home planet of the kidnappers themselves. Now, had I found this article before I played the game, I would have also learned that there are some cheat codes for the PC Engine adaptation that could have made this game a lot easier. For example, to get 6 credits at the start of the game, you hold select and press 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. To switch to expert mode, which definitely wouldn't make it easier, you hold select and press 1, 1, 2, 2. To enter yellow mode, you hold select and press 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then you start off wearing the yellow ribbon power-up. For blue mode, select and press 1 4 times, 2 4 times, 1 4 times, 2 4 times. Then you start off wearing the blue ribbon, which gives you stronger firepower. Green mode, it gives you a green ribbon where you fire shots ahead and behind. Usagi 5 mode gives you 5 lives instead of 3. Shield 5 mode gives you 5 shields instead of 3. And Shield 4 mode gives you 4 shields instead of 3. You can look all these things up at sonicwings.fandom.com/wiki/Rabio_Lepus. But just Google Rabio Lepus and you'll find this article, trust me, because, like I said at the beginning, Wikipedia itself is not terribly helpful. They don't have this game. They don't have the North American localization of this game. They have no entries for Rabio Lepus whatsoever. Price charting also doesn't seem to know Rabio Lepus exists because I couldn't look it up, so I have to rely on eBay to find out what this game goes for if you want to pick up a copy yourself. And it's all over the map, but the best you can find for it loose is about $30 with $10 shipping from Japan. And if you want a complete copy, it looks like you're paying at least $60 even with free shipping. So not the most super rare PC Engine game on the market, but definitely not a common game either. Now, I'm torn on whether or not I want to recommend this game. There's a cuteness aesthetic to it that's borderline to being a cute 'em up, and that's not a bad thing in my eyes because I like games like Parodius and Fantasy Zone and Twin Bee, among others. I think cute 'em ups are just fine, but it feels like they didn't go all in. They just said, okay, here's a rabbit, and we'll put the power-ups inside boxes with carrots on them, but then we'll just make it a traditional shoot 'em up, and one with some very brutal and cheap deaths. You can get hit by things that you have no time to anticipate. Enemies who enter the screen from the left side when you're all the way over to the left trying to shoot enemies on the right. Stage layouts where you have to avoid the walls of the stage and then you go right into enemy fire when you're trying to avoid them. There's very, very little forgiveness if you don't memorize the stage layouts, and I guess that's okay. I don't mind the memorization, but I also would question whether or not you want to spend $30 to $60 for something you have to memorize like a quiz to be able to give all the answers back at the correct time. Is that fun? It depends. For some people, yes. If you absolutely love the shoot 'em up genre, that's probably right up your alley. And if you're a filthy casual, then maybe you wouldn't want something like Rabio Lepus. I wouldn't call it the hardest of shoot 'em up games, cute 'em up or shoot 'em up, but I would also not say it's super easy either. It's a delicate balance to say that Rabio Lepus is okay. It's not great. It's not something I would say go out of your way to get. I would say if you came across it and it was at a bargain price, then perhaps consider it. But for me, this one definitely falls into the try before you buy category. You might not like the visual style of Rabio Lepus. It might be too cute for you. You might not like all the cheap deaths that are seemingly unavoidable. And the fact that the rabbit can punch things when he gets close to them is an interesting gimmick, but not enough so to differentiate itself from other shooters or make up from the cheapness of some of the stage layout and design. I think if you try it first in emulation, you will really be able to get a feel for whether or not this is the kind of thing that you want to spend $60 on. For me, I'm gonna say no. If it came in a lot on eBay of multiple PC Engine games, and I wasn't paying a high price for each one, but getting all of them collectively as a group, maybe. But then that would be hard to do since I have a lot of games anyway, so buying a lot just means unnecessary duplicates I would have to trade or resell, and that's just a pain. Rabio Lepus Special is not as special as the name makes it out to be. As far as shooters go, it's just somewhere in the middle. Even the Hardcore Gaming 101 article about the game takes exception to the idea that this version was called Special when it was ported to PC Engine. They're like, what was special about it? Okay, some of the stages are longer, but some of the graphics have been downgraded significantly, so buyer beware if you were looking for a one-to-one arcade port.